The market of Zaltra was alive with noise, colors, and strange smells. Tall alien merchants shouted about their goods, glowing fruits, silver metals, and shining stones. Children of different races ran between the stalls, laughing as they carried small toys. Guards in dark armor marched slowly, their eyes scanning the crowd. Everyone was busy, everyone had a purpose. No one noticed the old figure sitting in the corner. She was an alien elder, her skin pale and cracked like dry stone, her clothes nothing more than torn fabric. She sat near the broken wall of a ruined shop, her head bowed, her body trembling in the cold wind. Her hands were thin and weak, shaking as she tried to hold a small wooden bowl in front of her. The bowl was empty, ignored by the crowd. People passed by without even turning their heads, as if she was invisible, but one pair of eyes did not look away. Daniel, a human teenager, wandered through the alien market with curiosity. He was only 16, his clothes simple, a traveler's jacket and boots covered with dust. He had been on Zaltra for only 3 days, following his father who worked as a mechanic in the city. Daniel was not used to alien worlds, everything felt strange and heavy, but his eyes were sharp and his heart was restless. As he walked past the ruined shop, he stopped. Something pulled him to look at the old alien woman. She was not just weak, not just poor. There was something hidden in her stillness. Daniel's chest tightened when he saw her hands shaking, her eyes half closed as if she might collapse any moment. Around him, the crowd moved faster, the merchants louder, but it felt to him like the world had slowed down. He stepped closer, unsure why he was even doing it. "Do you need help?" he asked quietly, his voice shaking a little. For a moment, she did not answer. She only breathed heavily, her chest rising and falling as if every breath was a struggle. Then slowly her head lifted, her eyes met his, and Daniel froze. Her eyes were not like the others in the market. They glowed faintly, a dim silver light shining deep inside them. She stared straight at him, and for 1 second, Daniel felt as if she could see every secret he had, every fear, every thought. He wanted to step back. But her cracked lips moved. "Daniel," she whispered. Daniel's heart skipped. She knew his name, but he had never seen her before. "How do you know me?" he asked, confused. Her voice was soft, almost breaking, but there was a strange power in it. "I have waited for you," she said. "Only you can carry it now." He didn't understand, his mind racing. Carry what? Who was she? Why him? He wanted to ask, but before he could speak, she grabbed his wrist. Her hand was cold, yet her grip was stronger than he expected. Daniel tried to pull back, but something in her touch made him stop. "Do not be afraid," she whispered. Leaning closer, her words smelled of dust and time, heavy with secrets. "They cannot see me, not yet, but they will. And when they do, they will come for you too." Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. Her words were strange, dangerous, almost like a warning. He looked around, wondering if anyone was watching. But the crowd still moved like nothing was happening. No one paid attention. It was as if the old woman did not exist for them, as if only he could see her clearly. Daniel's chest tightened again, fear mixing with curiosity. "What do you mean? Who will come?" he asked, his voice low. The elder's breathing grew heavier, her hands trembling more. She leaned closer to his ear, her voice now nothing more than a broken whisper. "The stars carry a secret. Inside me, inside you now." Daniel's eyes widened. He didn't understand, but before he could ask more, her body shivered violently. She coughed, holding her chest, then looked at him with that glowing silver gaze one more time. "Promise me, you won't walk away," she whispered, her voice breaking like glass. Daniel stood frozen, the noise of the market around him fading into nothing. His heart pounded so hard he could barely breathe. He did not know this woman, he did not understand her words, but something deep inside told him he could not turn his back. In that moment, Daniel made a choice. He knelt down beside the forgotten elder, placing his hand gently on her shoulder. "I won't," he said firmly, though his voice shook with fear. The elder's lips curved into the faintest smile, her eyes closing slowly. "You have no idea what you've just done," she whispered, and with that, the marketplace roared back to life around him. Merchants shouted, children laughed, guards marched past. But Daniel knew nothing would ever be the same again. The forgotten elder had chosen him, and her secret was about to change everything. The night fell over the alien city of Zaltra, the glowing towers casting pale blue light across the streets. Daniel walked slowly through the quiet alleys, His mind filled with the strange moment in the market. The face of the alien elder stayed clear in his memory. Her silver eyes, her weak voice, the way she spoke his name. It made no sense. How could she know him, a human boy who had never been here before? And yet he felt her words burning inside him. He had promised her he would not walk away. Now that promise weighed heavy, like a chain around his chest. His father was waiting in the small room they rented above a mechanic shop, but Daniel could not go home yet. Something in him whispered that if he left the elder alone, something terrible would happen, and so, with nervous steps, he returned to the ruined shop where he had first seen her. The marketplace was almost empty now. The stalls closed, the voices gone. Only the sound of distant winds and the heavy boots of guards on patrol. Daniel looked around carefully. Afraid he might be seen there in the corner, the elder still sat, her body slouched, her hands shaking more than before when she saw him. A faint light returned to her silver eyes. "You came back," she whispered, her voice so soft it almost vanished into the night air. Daniel knelt beside her. "You know my name," he said. "Tell me how. Tell me why." Her lips trembled as if holding words that weighed too much to release. Finally, she leaned close, her voice barely louder than the wind. "Because I have carried it for years." Waiting for this moment, Daniel frowned, confused. Carried what? Her thin hand rose slowly, trembling, and she touched her chest for a moment. Daniel saw a dim glow under her skin, faint lines moving like rivers of light across her arm. He gasped, his eyes wide. "What is that?" The elder closed her eyes, as if in pain. "It is the map of the stars. Burned into my veins." The words sent a shiver down Daniel's spine. He shook his head. "Why me? I'm just no one." Her eyes opened again, glowing faintly silver. "Not no one. You are human." Her words struck like a heavy stone. She pulled him closer, whispering as if afraid the walls themselves might hear. "Humans are different, boy. They do not know yet. But the stars know." "The stars remember?" Daniel swallowed hard, his heart pounding. "What does that mean?" he asked, his voice unsteady. The elder's grip tightened on his wrist with surprising strength. "It means the secret cannot live inside me much longer," she whispered. "It must pass into you, or everything will burn." Daniel's breath caught in his throat, fear and confusion twisting inside him. Before he could answer, a sound echoed from the alley behind them. Heavy boots, the metallic clink of armor, harsh alien voices speaking in sharp tones. Daniel turned quickly, his heart racing. A group of armored soldiers moved down the street, scanning the shadows with glowing visors. The elder's hand tightened around his wrist. "They cannot see me. Not yet. But they will smell the secret soon." Daniel's throat went dry. "Soldiers? Why are they after you?" The elder's eyes darkened with sorrow. "Because I was once one of them. Because I broke their oath. Because I carried hope where they carried chains." Her voice shook, her body trembling. "They called me traitor. They erased my name. But I still kept it, hidden. For you?" Daniel stared at her in disbelief. "For me?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, Daniel. You are the last thread, the one they never expected." The soldiers stopped near the corner. Their voices rising, Daniel crouched lower, pulling the elder back into the shadows, his heart racing so fast he could barely breathe. He whispered sharply, "We need to move, they'll find us." The elder's breathing grew ragged, but her eyes never left his. Her whisper cut through the silence like a blade. "If you run now, the stars will fall into their hands, and millions will die." Daniel's stomach turned cold. He wanted to run, to hide, to escape into the night and forget this madness. But her words bound him in place, the weight of something bigger than himself pressing on his shoulders. The soldiers came closer, their armor shining under the pale light. The elder leaned so close her breath touched his ear, her words sharp and heavy. "They will come for me. And for you," she whispered, "because now, the secret is no longer only mine." Daniel blinked in shock. "What do you mean?" Her eyes glowed brighter, and for a moment he saw it clearly. Silver veins running across her skin. Pulsing like living stars, she lifted his hand and pressed it against her arm. The light shifted, moving from her skin into his, glowing faintly under his own. Daniel gasped, his hand burning with cold fire. The elder let out a shuddering breath, her body collapsing slightly against the wall. Her voice faded but carried enough strength to freeze his blood. "They will never stop hunting it. And now, Daniel, they will never stop hunting you." The sound of boots grew louder, closer. Only a few steps away now, Daniel's chest heaved, his mind racing. his hand still glowing faintly beneath the skin. He looked at the elder, who stared back at him with weary eyes filled with something deeper than fear, hope. And as the shadows of the soldiers stretched across the wall, Daniel realized his life had changed forever. The forgotten elder had given him something no one else had dared carry, and now the secret of the stars was inside him. The sound of armored boots echoed through the narrow streets. Heavy and cold like thunder, Daniel pressed himself against the broken wall, his heart beating so loudly he was afraid the soldiers might hear it. The elder sat slumped beside him, her breathing shallow, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. The glow in Daniel's own hand was still there, faint but alive like a hidden fire under his skin. He wanted to hide it, to cover it, but the light refused to fade. The patrol turned into the alley, their visors sweeping side to side, searching every shadow. Daniel swallowed hard, his palms sweating. He leaned closer to the elder, whispering sharply, "They're coming."
"We need to move."
Her lips trembled, her voice no more than a breath. "Follow me. If you want to live, then." With a strength that seemed impossible for her frail body, she pushed herself up. Gripping the wall for support, Daniel hesitated, torn between running away alone or staying with her. But when she took a step forward, her silver eyes locked on him. He knew he had no choice. He pulled her arm around his shoulder, supporting her as they slipped deeper into the shadows. The soldiers paused, their strange language sharp in the air. One of them pointed toward Daniel's direction, and suddenly they began to move faster. Daniel's breath caught, his body tensed. He hurried forward, guiding the elder through a narrow passage between two collapsed buildings. The smell of dust and rust filled his nose as they stumbled into a darker alley, lit only by faint blue lamps. Behind them, the voices of the soldiers grew louder. "Closer. They're chasing us," Daniel whispered in panic. The elder coughed, clutching her chest, but her voice carried a strange calm. "They can chase, but they cannot see what the stars protect." Daniel didn't understand, but there was no time to ask. He dragged her forward until they reached a heavy grate covering the ground. The elder pointed at it with a shaking hand. "Down! Into the tunnels." Daniel knelt and pulled, his arms straining as the metal groaned loudly. The sound echoed across the alley, and he froze, hoping the soldiers had not heard. Then with one last pull, the grate came free, revealing a dark hole beneath. The elder touched his hand, her silver gaze burning into him. "Do not let go." Before he could reply, she lowered herself into the hole, her body vanishing into the darkness. Daniel followed quickly, climbing down rusty rungs into the cold tunnels below. The air was damp and smelled of old stone and water. His boots splashed as he landed on the floor. Above them, the sound of soldiers entered the alley, their voices sharp and angry. Daniel froze in the shadows, holding his breath. One soldier stopped near the grate for a terrifying moment. Daniel thought they would climb down too. But another soldier barked an order, and the group moved away, their steps fading slowly into the distance. Daniel exhaled heavily, his whole body shaking. The elder leaned against the tunnel wall, her breathing uneven, but her silver eyes still glowed faintly. "Why are they after you?" Daniel finally asked, his voice trembling. The elder lifted her head, her face pale and worn. "They hunt me because I carry what they fear most, a truth they cannot erase." Her thin hand rose, pointing at his chest. "And now, Daniel, it has passed into you." Daniel looked down at his hand, the faint glow still there beneath the skin. He shook his head in disbelief. "What is it? What did you give me?" The elder closed her eyes, whispering slowly, "It is the key of the stars. An ancient map, a weapon, a memory older than the empire itself." Daniel's mouth went dry, fear twisting inside him. "Why me? I'm just a kid. I don't even belong here." Her silver eyes opened again, soft but sharp. "You belong more than you know," she whispered. "Humans were always meant to carry it. That is why they fear you. That is why they erased me." Daniel felt a cold shiver run down his back. He wanted to argue, to tell her she was wrong, but deep inside, something in him already believed. He could feel it, the faint hum of power inside his chest, the quiet whisper of something vast and alive. The tunnels stretched on in both directions. Dark and endless. Daniel shifted nervously. "Where do we go now?" The elder coughed, holding her chest. "Deeper. The soldiers will not follow far. They fear what sleeps in the dark." Her words sent another chill through him. "What sleeps in the dark?" Daniel asked carefully. Her answer was only a faint smile. "You will see." They walked together, their steps echoing softly through the stone passage. Water dripped from the ceiling, the sound loud in the silence. Daniel's fear grew with every step, his mind racing with questions, but more than fear, there was a strange pull inside him, as if the light beneath his skin was guiding him forward. The elder leaned heavily on him, whispering softly, "You must protect it, no matter what happens. Do not let it fall into their hands," Daniel nodded. Though his throat felt dry, he wanted to ask who they really were, what the Empire wanted with the key, and what it meant for him. But before he could speak, a distant noise echoed through the tunnels, metal scraping against stone. Daniel froze, his blood running cold. The elder's silver eyes flickered with fear. "They are not soldiers. Something else is here." Daniel gripped her arm tighter, his own fear rising. The glow under his skin grew brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat, and in the silence of the tunnels, the boy realized something terrible. The chase had only just begun, and whatever hunted them now was not wearing armor. It was something far older and far more dangerous. The tunnels stretched endlessly, damp walls shining faintly with dripping water. Daniel held the elder tightly, his heart beating fast as he guided her through the dark. Every sound echoed, his footsteps, the ragged breaths of the elder, the soft splash of their boots in shallow puddles. But another sound followed them too, a scraping, crawling noise that seemed to come from deep inside the stone. Daniel swallowed hard, his skin cold with fear. "What is that?" he whispered. The elder's eyes flickered, silver light glowing faintly in the dark. Her voice was heavy with warning. "Not soldiers. Shadows of the past. The Empire left them here to guard what I carry." Her words made Daniel's chest tighten. The scraping grew louder, closer, like claws dragging over rock. Daniel's glowing hand trembled, the light pulsing faster. The elder looked at it, her expression grim. "It responds," she whispered. "The key inside you wakes when danger comes." Daniel stared at his hand in shock. "I don't want it." "I didn't ask for this." The elder leaned against the tunnel wall, her body shaking. "No one ever asks," she said softly, "but some must carry it. Or the stars themselves will fall." Daniel's throat tightened, his fear mixing with anger. He was just a teenager, far from home, and now he was being told he carried some ancient weapon. His voice broke as he whispered, "Why me?" The elder's silver eyes held his, filled with a strange sadness. "Because humans were always meant to bear weight others could not," she said. "I kept it for years, hidden in my veins, waiting for one who could carry it further. And now it has chosen you." Daniel shook his head in disbelief. But deep inside, he felt it, the humming inside his chest, like a voice whispering from the stars themselves. The scraping sound came again, closer this time, from the shadows ahead. Faint shapes began to move. At first, Daniel thought they were soldiers, but then he saw their twisted forms, tall, thin creatures with bodies made of bone and black mist. Their hollow eyes glowing red. Daniel froze in terror, his whole body trembling. "What are they?" The elder's voice cracked. "Hunters of silence. Born from the Empire's cruelty. They devour memory, leaving only emptiness." Daniel's chest heaved, his fear growing. The creatures hissed, their claws scraping across the tunnel walls as they closed in. The glow in his hand spread suddenly, silver lines racing across his arm. Lighting the darkness, the creatures paused, hissing louder as the light grew brighter. Daniel stared at his arm in shock, the light spilling like fire. The elder's weak smile returned. "It accepts you. It knows you are the bearer now." Her voice trembled but carried pride. "You are the key of the stars, Daniel. You must protect it no matter the cost." Daniel's throat tightened, the words pressing down like a mountain. "I can't," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I'm just one person. I can't fight them." The elder touched his chest with her shaking hand. "You are not just one. You carry the memory of thousands who bore it before you. Their strength flows into yours." The creatures moved closer, their whispers like knives in the air. Daniel felt his body grow colder, but the light inside him grew hotter. The elder's breathing grew weaker. She leaned heavily against the wall, her silver eyes dimming. "You must go," she said. "Take the tunnels deeper. They will follow, but the key will guide you." Daniel shook his head, refusing. "I won't leave you behind." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "You already carry me." Inside the light, the creatures lunged forward, their claws cutting through the air. Daniel reacted without thinking, raising his glowing hand. A burst of silver light exploded from his palm. The creatures screamed, their red eyes fading as their bodies burned into dust. The tunnel shook with the force of the light, echoing like thunder. Daniel stood frozen, his hand trembling. The glow fading slowly, he gasped. Shocked by what he had just done, the elder's voice was soft, weak but filled with wonder. It has begun. The stars have accepted you. Daniel turned to her quickly, fear in his voice. God, but I don't know how to use it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Her eyes closed halfway, her breath shallow. You will learn, she whispered. The key teaches its bearer. But it will also test you, Daniel. It will test your heart. Daniel clenched his fists, the weight of her words pressing heavier on him than ever. He was only a boy, but now he carried something that could destroy or save worlds, and already enemies hunted him for it. The elder took one last deep breath, then whispered, Remember this. The Empire will never stop. They will burn planets to find you, but never let the key fall into their hands. Her words sent a cold fear through Daniel. He looked down the dark tunnels, knowing his journey was only beginning. The weight of the stars sat heavy on his shoulders, and he could not escape it. Behind him, faint echoes of more soldiers began to fill the tunnels. Daniel helped the elder walk again. His steps slow but determined for the first time in his life. He felt small against the vastness of the universe, but the glow under his skin reminded him he had been chosen. And with that choice came the heaviest burden of all. The tunnels carried Daniel and the elder far from the soldiers. Hours seemed to pass as they walked, their footsteps echoing in the wet stone passages. The elder leaned heavily against him, her body weak, her breath shallow. Daniel's arm glowed faintly, still carrying the strange light that had saved them from the shadow creatures. He wanted answers, but every time he asked, the elder only whispered, Not here. Not yet. Finally, the tunnels opened into a hidden passage that led back toward the marketplace. The first light of dawn touched the alien city above. Painting the towers in pale gold, merchants were already returning to their stalls, their voices sharp as they prepared for another day of trade. Daniel helped the elder climb up, covering her with a cloak to hide her face. Her silver eyes dimmed to look more ordinary, though the light still pulsed faintly in her veins. Why are we going back here? Daniel whispered, nervous. The elder leaned on her staff, her voice weak. Because only here can we find who still remembers me, and who might still help. Daniel followed her carefully through the crowd, his eyes darting nervously at the armored patrols nearby. He could feel the glow under his skin, burning softly like a secret fire. Every step reminded him the Empire was hunting for him. They stopped near a merchant stall filled with glowing stones. An alien man with sharp features and golden eyes stood behind it. When he saw the elder, his face froze. For a moment, Daniel thought he would shout for the guards, but instead the man lowered his voice. I told you never to return here. The elder's voice cracked as she spoke. Old debts are not so easily forgotten, Carol. The merchant's eyes narrowed. You put me in danger just by standing here. Leave before... He stopped when his gaze fell on Daniel, his sharp eyes catching the faint glow under the boy's sleeve. His face paled. No. You didn't. You passed it to him, didn't you? Daniel stepped back nervously. What do you mean? Passed what? Caril leaned forward, his voice trembling with fear. The key. The cursed key of the stars. The elder's lips tightened. It is not cursed. It is the last hope. Carol shook his head quickly, his golden eyes full of panic. You will bring death on all of us. Do you know what they'll do if they find him here? The Empire will burn this district to the ground. Daniel's chest tightened at the words, we need help. Daniel said firmly. Not fear. Carol's jaw tightened, but then he glanced at the elder again. There was something like guilt in his eyes, as if he had once known her better. Finally, he sighed, whispering, Meet me at dusk, in the empty storehouse by the east gate. I'll see what I can do. The elder gave a faint nod. Her strength almost gone, Daniel led her away, guiding her to a quiet corner of the city. They hid in an abandoned shop, where broken walls gave them shade and silence. Daniel sat beside her, his hands shaking as he tried to make sense of everything. The elder looked at him, her silver eyes dim but steady. Not everyone will stand with us, she whispered. Fear is the Empire's greatest weapon. The hours passed slowly, the sun climbing high and then falling low again. At dusk, Daniel helped her to the east gate where the ruined storehouse stood. Its broken roof let the red sky shine through, its shadows long and sharp. Inside, Carol waited. Pacing nervously, when he saw them, he raised his hand quickly. "Hurry! We don't have much time." Daniel helped the elder sit on a stone block, then turned to Carol. "You promised to help," Daniel said firmly. "So help us, what do we do now?" Caril's golden eyes darted between them, his voice low. "There is a ship leaving tomorrow, bound for the outer colonies. If you can reach it, you'll escape the Empire's grip." Daniel's chest lifted with hope, but the elder frowned. "They will be watching the docks. They always watch." Before more could be said, the sound of boots thundered outside. Daniel's blood ran cold, Carol's face twisted with guilt. His golden eyes refusing to meet Daniel's, the elder whispered weakly, "No, not you." But it was already clear. Carol had betrayed them. The doors of the storehouse burst open. Armored soldiers storming inside, their weapons glowing with deadly light. Daniel's heart pounded as he pulled the elder behind him. The leader of the soldiers raised his voice, sharp and cold. "There he is, the boy! Take him alive!" Daniel's mind raced, panic mixing with anger. Carol stepped back quickly, avoiding the elder's gaze. He muttered, almost ashamed, "I had no choice. They promised to spare my family." The elder's silver eyes filled with sorrow. "And so you doomed another child instead." Carol's face twisted, but he said nothing. The soldiers moved forward. Surrounding them with glowing weapons, Daniel's hand burned again, the silver light pulsing brighter. The elder leaned toward him, her voice sharp despite her weakness. "Do not fear them. The key will protect you." Daniel shook his head, his voice trembling. "I don't know how to use it." Her eyes glowed fiercely. "Then let it use you." The soldiers lunged, and Daniel raised his hand without thinking. A wave of silver light burst from his chest, throwing the first row of soldiers backward. The ground shook, dust falling from the broken roof. Carol stared in shock, his golden eyes wide with fear, and in that moment, Daniel realized, betrayal had only made him stronger. The elder gripped his arm tightly, whispering, "This is only the beginning." But now the Empire knows the truth. Daniel's chest heaved as the glow slowly faded. Around him, soldiers groaned on the floor, but more were coming, and with Carol's betrayal still burning in his heart, Daniel knew he could trust no one. The storehouse shook with the force of Daniel's power. The silver light that burst from him still lingered in the air like sparks after lightning. Soldiers lay scattered on the floor, their armor cracked, their weapons thrown from their hands. Daniel stood frozen, his chest heaving, staring at his glowing arm in disbelief. I did that," he whispered, his voice trembling. The elder leaned heavily against him, her weak body trembling but her silver eyes proud. "Yes, Daniel," she said softly. "You did. The key has accepted you." Daniel shook his head, panic rising inside him. "But I don't even know how. It just happened." The elder's hand touched his shoulder. "It will teach you, if you survive long enough to listen." Before Daniel could answer, more voices shouted outside. The sound of boots filled the night. More soldiers rushing toward the storehouse. Caril, the merchant who had betrayed them, backed away in fear, his golden eyes darting between Daniel and the soldiers. Daniel's jaw tightened as anger boiled in his chest. "You sold us out," he spat, his voice shaking with fury. Carol's face twisted. "I had no choice. The Empire owns everything, even life itself." The elder's voice cracked like a whip, weak but sharp. "No, you had a choice, and you chose chains." Carol flinched as if her words were a blade. But before anything more could be said, the soldiers stormed inside, weapons raised. Daniel's heart pounded as he stepped in front of the elder, the glow under his skin rising again. The leader of the soldiers pointed at him, his voice cold and sharp. "There he is, the human boy. Take him alive." "The key belongs to the Empire!" Daniel's chest tightened, anger and fear twisting inside him. He shouted back without thinking, "It doesn't belong to you." And as if answering his words, the silver glow spread across his chest. Pulsing like a living star, the soldiers rushed forward. But this time Daniel didn't wait. His hand lifted, light bursting from his palm in a wave that slammed into them. The ground shook, wooden beams cracked, and the roof of the storehouse trembled. The soldiers were thrown back again, their weapons clattering across the floor for the first time. Daniel felt the power not just as fear, but as strength. The elder's voice was steady, though her body was weak. "Do you see now? This is why they fear humans. Because the stars themselves respond to your heart." Daniel turned to her, confusion and panic still on his face. "My heart? I don't understand." "I'm not strong. The elder cut him off, her silver eyes burning. You are enough. The soldiers groaned as they tried to rise again. The leader shouted orders, calling for reinforcements. Daniel grabbed the elder's hand, helping her toward the broken wall of the storehouse. We have to get out of here, he said urgently. Together they slipped into the shadows of the alley outside, the sounds of the city alive with chaos. They ran through the narrow streets, Daniel supporting her weak body. The elder's breathing grew heavier, her steps slower, but her voice still carried truth. Listen to me, Daniel. The key is not just a weapon. It is a memory older than the Empire itself. It carries the voices of those who came before. Daniel's brow furrowed as he half carried her forward. What does that mean? Voices? I don't hear anything. The elder coughed, leaning against him. You will, when the time is right. They will speak to you, guide you. But only if your heart stays unbroken. Daniel's chest ached, her words filling him with both fear and wonder. The thought of carrying not just power, but the memory of thousands weighed heavy on him. The burden felt too great, but there was no way back now. They stopped in the shadow of a tall tower, catching their breath from the streets behind. The glow of soldiers' torches grew closer. Daniel clenched his fists, anger boiling at the memory of Carol's betrayal. He turned to the elder, whispering, I can't trust anyone here. Not even the ones who say they'll help. The elder nodded slowly. That is the truth of the Empire. Trust has been starved from its people, but you must not lose yours. Daniel looked at her in confusion. Why me? Why humans? Her eyes met his, glowing faintly silver even in the dark. Because when the Empire first rose, it tried to erase your kind. But the stars themselves refused. Humanity was chosen because it carries what others lost, hope. The words struck deep. Daniel felt a warmth in his chest, not from fear or anger, but from something stronger. Before he could reply, soldiers shouted again, closer this time. Daniel pulled the elder into another alley, his heart racing. The glow under his skin grew brighter. Spreading up his arm, he could feel it responding to his fear, his anger, his will to protect. The elder whispered urgently, Don't let them take you. If they bind the key to their empire, whole worlds will burn. The soldiers rounded the corner, weapons raised. Daniel's body shook, but his voice came out firm. Then they'll have to go through me. He raised his hand, the light bursting brighter than ever before. The soldiers froze, fear flickering in their eyes. The elder's faint smile returned, her voice soft but certain. Now you understand. The key is not just power, it is choice. Your choice will decide the fate of galaxies. Daniel's chest heaved as the silver glow pulsed like a living star inside him. He stared at the soldiers closing in, his fear burning away into determination. The truth was rising and he could not run from it anymore. The narrow alley glowed with silver light. Daniel stood with his hand raised, the strange power burning under his skin. The soldiers froze, their weapons trembling in their hands as they stared at him. The elder leaned weakly against the wall, her silver eyes glowing faintly. You feel it now, she whispered. The key no longer hides. It has awakened. Daniel's chest heaved, his whole body shaking. He wanted to run, to hide, to escape this nightmare, but he could not. The soldiers were here. The Empire was hunting him, and the elder's life was slipping away. Somewhere deep inside, the light whispered to him. It was not just a weapon, it was a voice carrying memories older than time itself. The leader of the soldiers raised his blade, his voice sharp. He's only a boy. End this now before it grows stronger. The soldiers moved forward, fear fighting against duty in their eyes. Daniel clenched his fists, the silver glow spreading across his chest like burning veins. The elder's voice cut through the chaos, soft but strong. Daniel, do not fight because of fear. Fight because of choice. The word struck his heart like fire. He remembered her earlier whispers about humanity, about hope, about choice. For the first time, Daniel realized this power was not about destruction. It was about what he decided to do with it. And in that moment he stepped forward, his glowing arm raised high. The silver light burst outward. Flooding the alley with brilliance, the soldiers cried out, their weapons shattering as the light washed over them. But instead of death, the light threw them back. Disarming them, sparing their lives, the soldiers lay on the ground, stunned but alive, their eyes wide with fear. The elder smiled faintly, pride in her tired gaze. You understand, she whispered. You carry not only power, but mercy. Daniel turned to her quickly, his voice breaking. Don't talk like that. You're going to be okay. But deep inside, he already knew the truth. Her time was ending. Her body trembled, her breath shallow. She reached up with a trembling hand, placing it against his chest. You are the Starborn now, the bearer of the key, she whispered. My journey ends here, but yours has only begun. Daniel's throat tightened, his eyes burning with tears. No, don't leave me. I can't do this alone. The elder's silver eyes softened. You will never be alone. The stars will walk with you. Their voices will guide you. And when you doubt yourself, remember, you were chosen not because you were strong, but because you had a heart that stopped for a stranger. Daniel's chest ached at her words. She smiled weakly, whispering, Promise me, you will not let them twist the key into chains. Daniel nodded, tears running down his face. I promise, he said firmly, his voice breaking but certain. The elder's eyes closed slowly, her last breath slipping into the cold night air. Her silver glow faded, flowing fully into Daniel's chest. He felt it, sharp and heavy, the full weight of the stars burning inside him. He knelt there for a long moment, holding her still hand, his heart filled with both grief and fire. The silence was broken by the sound of boots again, more soldiers rushing into the street. Daniel rose slowly, the silver light blazing brighter than ever before. The soldiers froze at the sight, fear in their eyes. He spoke, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. You'll never have it. Not while I'm alive, the soldiers shouted and charged. But Daniel raised his arm. A wave of silver light exploded outward, shaking the city itself. The ground cracked, walls trembled, and the soldiers were thrown back like leaves in a storm. Above, the night sky seemed to respond, stars flickering brighter. Daniel stood tall in the glowing ruins of the alley, the silver light covering him like armor. The people of the marketplace rushed to their windows, staring at the human boy shining like a star. Whispers spread through the crowd, fear and awe mixing together. The Starborn, someone whispered. The key has awakened, another voice said. Trembling, Daniel's chest heaved. But he kept standing. He knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would not stop. They would send more soldiers, more hunters, more monsters, but now, he was ready. He looked at the sky, his fists clenched. The elder's words echoed inside him. You carry not only power, but choice. Daniel knew what his choice was now. He would not run, he would not hide. He would fight, not for revenge, not for fear, but for the hope the elder had believed in. As the stars above blazed brighter, Daniel whispered to the night, I won't let you down. I'll protect it. I'll protect them all. The silver glow pulsed like a living heart inside him. The boy who once walked through a market as a stranger was gone. In his place stood the Starborn, human bearer of the key, and the one destined to shake the Empire. And though his journey was only beginning, one truth was clear. The galaxy would never be the same again.